Hello, I'm David Kerr.
I'm Deidre Haven.
Welcome to CVTV News, brought to you by Germanna Community College. Deirdre, I understand we have a little Thanksgiving tradition that goes back quite a ways.
It does, and this might be a nice little history lesson to some of our folks here in Virginia. It's a Thanksgiving Day tradition that goes back to 1677. Not much in America reaches back that far. The Treaty of Middle Plantation was signed 341 years ago when Virginia was still an English colony. One of its provisions obliged the Pamunkey and the Mattapony Indian tribes, or First Americans, to pay tribute to the colonial governor. Virginia was no longer an English colony. However, the treaty, at least by virtue of tradition, is still in force, and the presentation of the treaty's required tribute to the governor has become a Thanksgiving event. Originally, the tribute was 20 beaver skins. Today, the tribute is 1 deer from each of the tribes that's presented to the governor in a formal ceremony. The Mattapony and Pamunkey tribes are officially recognized by the Commonwealth of Virginia, and both, after considerable effort, have been recognized by the U.S. government.
I believe that recognition on the part of the Pamunkey and the Mattapony tribes by the federal government occurred within the last year or so, which is pretty neat. Well, in local news, and more in the 21st century, Tom Cohen, following his election to the George Washington seat on the Stafford County Board of Supervisors, was officially sworn in on Monday. This was a special ceremony that was held at Colonial Forge High School in North Stafford, and the oath was administered by Clerk of the Stafford County Circuit Court, Kathy Stern. Mr. Cohen's mother, Martha Cohen, held the family Bible. Mr. Cohen was elected to fill the unexpired term of former Supervisor Bob Thomas following Thomas's election to the House of Delegates. And now we're going to turn for just a moment to a special feature on our program. I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Gullickson at Germanna Community College, and this is the second part of that interview, and I think you'll find it very interesting as it reveals quite a bit about what her plans are and a little bit about how Germanna Community College contributes to our community.
So you wake up one day, David, and you say, I could live 2,000 some miles away and a day of travel and in an emergency be there, but could I possibly live a couple hours away and make it work? Now this is the weird path. It just gets weirder. So we came out to see my daughter and we said, let's go to Fredericksburg. It's on a lot of the best places to live lists and just want to see it. So we drove down here and looked around, drove home, and then within a couple weeks the Germanna Community College presidency brochure appeared online for me to see. Now, I wasn't looking for a job. I wasn't even looking at Germanna. It just happened. And there were about a thousand different reasons not to do it, but I had one grandchild that made all the reason to do it. So my husband works for Grand Coulee Dam, which is the largest dam in North America, from our basement. He runs the dam, and he always says, well, water just goes downhill, so it's not that hard to run a dam. But
of course, it's that easy.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Child could do it.
And so he telecommutes, and there were 100 people who applied for this job, and I was just so very fortunate to work here and get this job.
From everything I've heard, we're the ones who were fortunate.
Well, that's very gracious of you.
I know that a university system like this that's spread out isn't unusual in the country, but still, you're covering an area that's at least 3 counties. I was looking on the website, and we've got our campus at Stafford right here at Spotsylvania. We're next to Fredericksburg here. You have another location, Fredericksburg, Locust Grove, another one in Caroline. That's a pretty spread out operation.
We serve more than 3 counties and the locality of Fredericksburg. Well,
that's right. You take in Louisiana,
Culpeper, Stafford, Spotsylvania, Caroline, King George, and Orange, and Madison. So it's a big.
That's a bigger spectrum than I realized.
It is. Well, here's the good news. I came to Fredericksburg and everybody was wonderful, and I love the history. Then I started driving to Culpeper. This was for my interview. interview, and I saw cattle and horses and farms, and I thought, I know how to do this. I was raised on a farm, and the access to higher education in rural areas is a very big deal, and I understand it, and that's something I can bring to this position. I used to work a lot in northern rural Minnesota, and that's when I really understood the need to have education, higher education available. And because of the efficient way that Germanna has done business and continues to do business, we can do that fairly reasonably and still meet the needs for a really broad service area.
So if you feel that, I know you roam around a lot, of course, but you feel that this is something you can manage from one central location? And
I calculated that within the last year, every month I drove 40 hours. So I drove a week.
The answer is yes.
But I love it. I love driving it. I'm just in love with the area and in love with Germanna and in love with the students and the supporters that it has in the counties and communities.
I think you're right about that, certainly. Now, I'm going to ask you about some of the challenges. I thought I might put that off for just a second.
Okay.
And ask you a little, well, not necessarily more positive, but something that just starts out with your vision. You've been here long enough to take in a lot of data, kind of see where it is, where it's going, the level of support. What is your vision?
Well, I think your question could be more timely coming on the heels of the previous question. In difficult times financially, and we can talk about that more in a bit, the tendency is to hunker down, to maybe cancel some classes, to not offer as many services, and to maybe drive some of the services off our rural locations because we don't have as many people there. If you look at it just from a cost and efficiency point of view, it's not terribly efficient sometimes to offer courses in some of the areas that we do. On the other hand, I know personally and professionally how important access is in rural areas. So we took a little different approach, and thanks to our wonderful marketing department as well as others at the college, we were able to open up more space and fill it this year using a lot of prayer, but using some creative conversations across the college and working with our communities. So for example, Germanna is the only one of 3 community colleges in the state of Virginia up in enrollment this year, and we're up more than any other college.
Thank you, David. That's very interesting about Germanna Community College. I'm always interested in what's going on there.
It's a fascinating institution. They have such a reach all over the community. And there's so many opportunities for adults, for people who are kind of in between high school and college and looking for a way to go, to really find themselves and find their futures.
And work for workforce initiatives.
Oh, fantastically so.
Yes, absolutely.
There's almost no, if you want to go to Germanna Community College, there's a way for you to go.
And we'll be right back.